Babysitting has never been my favorite gig, but when times got tough, I took whatever job came my way. That's how I found myself sitting in a dimly lit living room, surrounded by antique furniture and the distant ticking of an ancient grandfather clock. The parents were eager to escape for the evening, leaving me alone with their 2 children. Emily, a sweet 8-year-old with pigtails, and her older brother, Jake, who was a moody teenager glued to his phone. The house had an unsettling stillness to it, and the air felt heavy with an unspoken tension. As the parents hurriedly left, they warned me about one thing: the children's playroom in the basement. They chuckled nervously and said something about imaginary friends before rushing out the door. The first few hours went by uneventfully. Emily and I played board games in the well-lit living room, and Jake stayed holed up in his room, only emerging for snacks. It wasn't until bedtime approached that things took a chilling turn. As I tucked Emily into bed, she looked up at me with wide eyes and whispered, "Don't go into the basement. Bad things happen there." I laughed it off, assuming she was just trying to scare the babysitter. But her gaze remained serious, and she grabbed my hand, pleading, "Promise me you won't go down there." Unease settled in my stomach as I assured her I had no plans to venture into the mysterious depths of the basement. After turning off the lights and closing the bedroom door, I hesitated at the top of the staircase leading down. The basement was a realm of shadows, with only a flickering bulb hanging from a single string. As I tiptoed down the creaky steps, the air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped me. I could almost feel eyes watching me from the darkness. Reaching the bottom, I found the playroom, cluttered with forgotten toys and creepy dolls that seemed to stare with lifeless eyes. I shivered but attributed it to the drafty basement. I scanned the room, trying to find the source of Emily's unease. That's when I heard it. A faint whisper, like a soft breeze carrying a chilling message. The words were unintelligible, but the tone hinted at sorrow and desperation. My heart pounded as I realized the voice was coming from a dusty old mirror leaning against the wall. I approached the mirror cautiously, my breath forming misty clouds in the cold air. As I peered into the glass, I saw a reflection that wasn't my own. A ghostly figure, barely visible, stood behind me. Its eyes were hollow, and its mouth moved soundlessly, as if trying to convey a message from beyond. Fear paralyzed me, and I stumbled backward, crashing into a pile of forgotten toys. The whispers grew louder, echoing in the confined space. Panicking, I sprinted up the stairs, slamming the basement door shut behind me. I returned to Emily's room, and she could sense the terror etched on my face. "You went down there, didn't you?" she asked, eyes wide with a knowing sadness. I nodded, unable to find words. "You need to leave," she said, her voice trembling, "before it's too late." I gathered my belongings and hurriedly exited the house, leaving behind the unsettling whispers and the mystery of the basement. As I glanced back one last time, the lights in the living room flickered, casting long, eerie shadows on the walls. That night, I vowed never to take another babysitting job without thoroughly vetting the house and its history. Some places, it seemed, held secrets that were better left undisturbed. The stormy night hung heavy with thick clouds, and rain pounded against the windows like impatient fingertips. I sat on the edge of the couch, glancing at the clock as the minutes crawled by. The babysitting job had seemed routine until I received a strange call from the parents, urging me to stay vigilant and not open the door for anyone. As the clock struck midnight, the unsettling echo of footsteps approached the front porch. I peered through the rain-streaked window, and 2 figures emerged from the darkness, their silhouettes barely visible through the sheets of water. Reluctantly, I opened the door, a gust of wind rushing in, extinguishing the feeble glow of the foyer light. Before me stood a middle-aged couple, their eyes cold and calculating. The man had a graying beard, and the woman's long, tangled hair clung to her wet clothes. They wore matching blood-red robes that fluttered in the wind. "Thank you for welcoming us, child," the man said, his voice sending shivers down my spine. They introduced themselves as Elijah and Isabella, claiming to be friends of the parents. My unease deepened as I invited them in, the rain dripping from their soaked robes creating a pool on the floor. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on their faces, giving them a sinister appearance. Elijah spoke cryptically, mentioning a gathering nearby and how they needed shelter for the night. Isabella remained silent, her eyes fixed on me with an unsettling intensity. I excused myself to check on the sleeping children, hoping their innocent dreams would shield them from the creeping fear settling in my gut. In the dimly lit hallway, I heard the couple murmuring in hushed tones. Fear coiled in my chest as I eavesdropped on their conversation. They spoke of otherworldly entities, rituals, and a prophecy that required the presence of the children. My mind raced, trying to make sense of their ominous words. Determined to protect the children, I contemplated my options. As I reached for the phone to call the parents, the power went out, plunging the house into complete darkness. Panic set in, and I fumbled for my phone, the screen casting an eerie glow in the blackness. Suddenly, a low chant echoed through the house, growing louder with each passing second. The cult couple stood at the end of the hallway, their eyes now aglow with an unnatural light. The air became charged with an unsettling energy as they advanced, their movements synchronized like marionettes in a malevolent dance. Terrified, I grabbed the children and barricaded ourselves in a small closet, the sound of the ominous chanting reverberating through the walls. The storm outside intensified, matching the chaos within the house. As the night wore on, the chanting reached a crescendo, and a blinding light enveloped the house. The closet seemed to warp around us, reality bending like a nightmare. When the light subsided, the cult couple was gone, leaving only echoes of their haunting chant in the air. The storm outside gradually calmed, and the first light of dawn seeped through the windows. Trembling, I cautiously emerged from the closet, finding the house empty. The parents returned to find their children safe, but the atmosphere heavy with the residue of a supernatural encounter. I left that house, vowing never to return, haunted by the memory of the cult couple and the stormy night that forever changed my perception of the ordinary and the otherworldly.
Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.